gentlemen, and welcome to Vassal's Field for tonight's OCAA contest featuring the visiting George Brown Husky and your Durham Lords. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Durham College is proud to acknowledge the lands of the people of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, which is covered under the Williams Treaty. Durham College is situated on traditional territory of the Mississaugas, a branch of the Greater Anishinaabe Nation, which includes Algonquin, Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi. We now ask if you can please rise if able and remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, the starting 11 for the visiting George Brown Huskies. Number 1, Sarah Anisha Van Wert Bradbury. Number 3, Riva Karishnafon. Number 4, Jennifer Lopez. Number 7, Kayla Ferreira. Number 8, Ania Tagli. Number 10, Jennifer Seguin. Number 15, Haley Capicero. Number 17, Megan Morgado. Number 18, Megan Barrett. Number 21, Bianca Granada. Number 24, Iman Banji. And number 27, Alyssa Buru. George Brown is coached by Amy Lynn. And now, Lord fans, let's make some noise for you. The starting 11 from your Durham Lords. Number 3, Sage Thomas Roberts. Number 5, Estelle Palme. Number 6, Erin Nicoletta. Number 9, Dalen Tulop. Number 15, Alexis Bailey. Number 16, Heather Wright. Number 17, Abigail Roberts. Number 23, Holly Warlow. Number 16, Ellie Roach. Number 27, Julia Fontana. And 00, Katie Sutherland. Your Lords are coached by the one, the only, Bruce Collins.
Welcome everyone to Vassal's Field. Today we have women's soccer live here at Durham College OCAA. This matchup between both teams sitting currently at 0-1. The Durham Lords taking on the visiting George Brown Huskies. Both teams looking to get their first one in the win column, as well as their first goal on the season in this one. Looking to be a little bit of an interesting game here. Myself, Etienne Skitch on the mic. Beside me,
Damon Hughes, sir, ready for a great game on a great day. It's beautiful outside for this Durham Lords game.
Absolutely. Starting 11 already announced as mentioned. And just about getting everything set and ready here as both teams make their way onto the pitch. Just about showtime. Of course, the first week of power rankings did come out earlier. Neither team made a splash in that one as they both remain unranked going into this one.
Yeah, and it's not surprising considering both falling to defeats in their first game. George Brown went to Seneca 1-0 away from home, and Durham fell, as anyone that was watching knew, 3-0 to Algonquin. And that was at home for Durham. So Captain Aaron Mikalinka trying to redeem Durham at home. They get back-to-back games to start the season, trying to even it up at 1-1.
Keep in mind, Seneca, the current rank 1 in all of OCAA at the moment. Algonquin sitting at rank 5. So both these teams ended up faring fairly well in terms of that immediate response. And away we go as the Lords start to make a push on the offense here. One of my keynotes that I made here was getting themselves going early and often, as neither one of these teams were particularly great in the offensive category. As I mentioned, neither having a goal yet. Having to make sure that everyone can officially get this going. The Lords have to put pressure early. That was their problem previous. Couldn't break out of their own end. They couldn't really dictate the flow of play. We saw Sage very often camping out near the net, waiting for someone to find them the ball. Just never happened.
Yeah, and you would assume Sage could get on the board today. They've had a tough go about week 1, but 19 goals in that record year 2 years ago. We'd assume Sage can get their season underway here.
Of course, a first-team All-Star last year for Sage Thomas Roberts, and an all-rookie as well on this Durham squad. That one going to be Alexis Bailey, number 15, the midfielder. Make sure to keep an eye out for her throughout the game. Advancing forward here, the Lords have a pass picked off. And Sage fighting for that one, comes away with it. Moving quick down, sends a shot just wide, almost snuck past the keeper in the opening few minutes.
That's a great early save by the keeper. And Sage just got a little room, had a great shot.
Definitely had the angle there. If it had any kind of height on it, probably would have gone by. And the corner coming through from the Lords. And away it goes up towards the front. And George Brown able to clear that for the time being. Booted out to the side. Joust for the ball in the corner as the Lords regain control. Once again on the attack. Sends it towards the net. Away from play it goes. Alrighty, apologies there for a quick delay there. And once again, it's that time George Brown. Excellent quick play there to clear the ball out of their own area here. And the Lords get back on the attack. And George Brown yet to make a substantial breakout of their end, but this looks to be a quick change to that. That's going to be Heather Wright chasing that one down and throws it right back in play. And fighting down the Lords. Kicking it around here. Comes out to Estelle Calmet. Breaks free. And loses possession, though. Tried to fight for it early. Wasn't able to do so. Bianca Granada, the one to fight that one off. And instead, the Lords make their way back on offense. Kick that one back in place. Sage Thomas Roberts up top. Kicks it away. Firing deep. Keeper good on the save there. And George Brown, good to roll.
Yeah, a couple of early good saves for George Brown, keeping them in this one.
And George Brown trying to fight their way out of their own end. can't seem to do so consistently, though. And it's going to be Heather Wright once again, checking this one back in here for the Lords. Trying to get anyone open here. This coverage from George Brown, looking pretty solid right now. Sage jousting in for that one, not quite able to do it, but George Brown in a little bit of a scurry here, trying to get their way around.
Bad turnover.
An excellent interception. Coming all the way back, we were talking about it earlier, Alexis Bailey. And a foul called.
Yeah, an offside call as Alexis Bailey played Sage through the lines of the two defenders, but just a little offside, slightly behind the defender, and George Brown catch a break.
Very lucky Durham, very quick on the attack. As I know I said it earlier, but they're definitely making their presence felt in this one. As the Lords playing very, very close. Obviously, Sage constantly a ball hawk, but doesn't make it any easier here if George Brown just plays a little bit of keep away. And away it goes.
Yeah, both these teams very close in the standings last season. The Durham Lords finishing 4-6, while George Brown finished 5-5. So it's going to be a little bit of a grudge match as these two teams try and figure out where they are going to fit in these standings.
Speaking of a grunge match, it was Julia Fontana there. Just absolutely checks the Husky to get this ball away. And once again, Heather Wright going to throw this one in. And away goes Dalen Tulloch. But
a foul throw.
That one immediately fouled. That'll do it. Sorry for that one being a little bit noisy on your end, everybody. Just had to make a quick fix there. And that one goes out of play.
Yeah, we're waiting for George Brown to make their first move, as they haven't really had a lot of attacking prowess. Let's see if they can do something on this play.
And it's going to be the Lords back in possession here as they slowly make their way forward and clear it there.
Great run. Wide open. Couldn't make the pass to Alexis Bailey, who was wide open in the middle. It's a great chance for Durham, and they have a corner here.
Already two corners in this one. Have a lot of opportunity early here. The Lords just need to capitalize.
Yeah, so they've already equaled the amount of corners that they had last game against Algonquin.
Algonquin was absolutely smothering the Lords here on home turf. Looking for a different result. Comes across. Header goes up and over.
If she could leave that, Sage is wide open. It just has to be better communicated. Leave it to allow for a better shot.
But kicking it around, seeing if they can draw any bit of a gap here out of the Huskies as it comes back across midfield.
This is good passing, just around the back.
Right to Thomas Roberts. And back out towards the Huskies keeper. Keeps it in play and stops the attack. Had an opportunity there for Durham. Just wasn't quite able to capitalize. George Brown booting it.
Yeah, that's an interesting ball. I've never really seen a keeper do something like that, but it was a great pass, and now George Brown have a player down in a little bit of pain.
That one is Megan Morgado. Just kind of got into a little bit of contact here on this near sideline. Could hear that scream of a little bit of pain from the booth up here. Not quite sure if you guys were even able to pick that one up on the mic. But and a little bit of movement here. And George Brown picks it off.
Yeah, it's not a good turnover to have in that position of the field, but George Brown don't really take advantage of it as they look to reset through the defense.
Give themselves an opportunity here. And ball hawk opportunity here. The Lords able to recover. Excellent play there. Estelle Calmet able to regain control. That one flies past the Lord striker there with Sage Thomas Roberts, and that one flies too far. Huskies on the attack once again. Tried to clear the ball there. Was number 24. That one, Iman Bungie there, but again, right off the back of Lord's number 20. That one was Skylar Moore. So this one's going to be thrown in here by George Brown.
A lot of communication by the Durham Lords head coach early on in this one. Brian Cullen just trying to sort his team out as they look for their first win. That's a good spin.
Not quite able to break free. There's George Brown, a little bit of keep away here,
Bad
but
giveaway.
Sage stolen away. Good move, gets clear off the George Brown keeper. An excellent coverage there.
And a very good third save by Van Wart Bradbury. She makes 3 great saves in the opening 11 minutes.
And that one just got a little bit caught up there for George Brown as they tried to get an opportunity, but lost control of it, kicks it back out towards midfield, but instead rolls out of play as Durham's keeper now has an opportunity to get this thing rolling. Katie Sutherland gets that one away. George Brown quick to fall back on the defense here. You got to wonder if they ever start pushing it here, because they've been camping out near this midfield very, very consistently now. They just need to get any kind of offensive pressure, and they should be doing all right.
Great ball down the line.
Go inside, go.
Alexis Bailey. And just a big shot there to go out of play.
Yeah, Fontana sends that well out of play. Not the greatest shot, but Durham is getting chance after chance in this first half, and you have to love their odds on getting the first goal.
Almost looked like it was going for a big windup there, but keeps the pass short. And that one kicked off a Lord back into a Husky, and it's going to be Lords to throw this one back in.
Yeah, that's Rouch doing a good job winning possession for her team. They can just reset, cycle it around, try and find some open space.
Not with players on like that, as George Brown quick on the defense here, but the Lords smothering in that midfield, almost in that transition period. And that one gets away and gone.
Yeah, trying to flick it over for Tulloch, but not enough space on the field to make a pass like that. You're going to have a lot of technical ability, which wasn't shown on that play.
And the Lords very much pressing here inside the 22-yard line. Or sorry, the 18. And almost broke free there from George Brown. Instead, George Brown's gonna have to flip this one on its head as they try and regain some kind of control over this ball, as it feels like the Lords have just had possession the entire time. I don't think I've seen George Brown with possession for more than 45 seconds.
And another turnover inside the box this time. Another great save. It's just bad giveaways by George Brown, and simply we've only watched this George Brown team for 14 minutes, but if they played like this against Seneca, I'm just wondering how it was only 3-0. They have to sort it out if they want a chance in this one against Durham.
Durham, 5 shots, 4 of them on goal. So they're doing pretty well in that regard to keep themselves on pace on the offense. Compared to George Brown, not a single shot, and that means not a single one on goal either. The only one that came near was one that essentially ricocheted right out of play. And a substitution here for George Brown.
Yeah, this is Pope Jackson checking in and Reba coming out. And just needed a change because it's not been working. They get the change. We'll see how that affects the game. See what kind of effect the coach can have on a game. Is those are really the only things they can do is make a sub, switch the formation, and let the players on the field sort it out themselves.
Reba Krishanthan, the one who tapped out there, as mentioned, and came in was Kanik Pope Jackson. And the Lords back on offense. And a good opportunity there.
But it's just a handball.
That's what it looked like from up here. I was wondering if the official was going to call it.
Yeah, unfortunate. I thought as it came down on the floor, no call from the referee yet. I thought she got away with it. But when he realized that the possession was going to Durham, that's when he blew the whistle, which is pretty good refereeing on his part.
Last year, the Lords 4-6 in regular season play. Of course, they did have that playoff win against Algonquin, which almost looked to right the ship. Could have had an opportunity last year in the playoff. Didn't quite make it so. And forget what I'm saying. Sage is fighting down for the ball. Gets loose. And still goes for a joust there. And the Lords just gonna set back and recover here after George Brown took control briefly.
It's a good clearance by Lopez. Just needed to relieve pressure for a second. It's headed and the keeper can grab it for George Brown.
And continuing to play on here, Sage Thomas Roberts forces the pickup here from the keeper. And the Lords, everyone back. And George Brown quick here to throw this one back in play. But right into the hands of the Lords, but goes right back out in possession of George Brown once again.
And you just wondered, Durham had 4 good chances in the first about 13 minutes, and they just didn't take them. Is that going to end up haunting them as this game progresses and it stays level?
Well, the one that I think of is that one in that first minute and a half from Sage Thomas Roberts there. Snuck through the keeper and missed the net by maybe 6 inches.
Yeah, and George Brown didn't have a good start in their first game of the season, conceding in the first minute to Seneca.
You got to wonder if this team is just a slow start and kind of rights the ship in the minutes that fight on. And the Lords going to have to put their absolute effort here to try and break through this Huskies defense, which is adapting a lot faster than they were.
Yeah, that's going to be a third corner for the Lords. Just 18 minutes in.
And over there once again is going to be Alexis Bailey. Has been taking literally every single one of the corners so far.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Get your best delivery in. Let somebody get on the end of it, and that's a good one. Actually, it's not. If that's in play, that's the spot you want it, but it's just got to be on the other side of the goal.
Well, Sage came in, dropped. If you drew a line straight from the point of where it hit the floor to Sage, you had an exact parallel line. So, spot at least in terms of depth was good. Just needed to get that aim in play.
Yeah, and I think if Durham get another corner, we'll see a much better ball right into those areas, the danger areas, in which can result in scrappy goals.
And once again, George Brown just a little bit sloppy here. Another costly turnover. Goes over Alexis Bailey. Puts it too high over the net. Had every opportunity in the world. Just too much power behind it.
Yeah, and it's really missed chance number 5. Should be 3-0 right now for Durham, and it's still 0-0. Just honestly crazy that they don't have a goal in the first 20 minutes of this one.
And a big boot there as it comes out towards midfield. Right off the head of Heather Wright. And George Brown regained possession. Kicking it around now. George Brown clear it. Files its way through every single Lord defender. An opportunity for George Brown, and they're instead going to lose possession as Durham closes them out and squeezes them off the ball, and it's going to be Lords booting this one. Chips off the shoulder there, right to Thomas Roberts. And playing a little bit of ping pong here as the Lords make their way forward. Good pass as it makes their way up high. Regain possession. And another great save.
Yeah, that it comes in slower than the other ones, but still really have to reach up. If she's a couple inches shorter, that's probably 1-0 Durham, and another great save. Her 5th of the night.
Dalen Tulloch, the one to take that one. Just, again, another outstanding save there. And once again, corner, this time number 4.
I would assume this is going to be a better one.
That one looks in.
Wow.
Nope.
So 2 mistakes, and we might see the same
here.
change that we did.
Yeah, number 3 tapping back in here for George Brown.
Nope, not the same.
Tapping in for George Brown. Reba Krishanthan taps back in and out. Goes to Nia Pavali. Anaya Pavli, apologies. And possession for George Brown as they boot this one away. And had initial possession there, had off the keeper's kick, but the Lords scrappy playing so far as they proceed to get this one away.
That's just good. And George Brown have really good shape. It's just their only problem is when they turn the ball over in the final third, like in Durham, in their own final third, allowing Durham to capitalize. Like, they got to be composed here, not lose the ball in these areas.
And George Brown regained possession on the near sideline here, but just as I say it, they lose it once again. And they clear the defense here as they start to break into that offensive zone. And a big one right off the forehead there of Iman Banji. And the Lords again scrappy, but get the ball back no less. And big boot there, just right into the hands of the keeper. Caught it away from Sage Thomas Roberts right at the last second. And lots of communication once again from the Lords head coach. And they're just trying to find their system here. The Lords doing a great job at collapsing on this George Brown team. As soon as they get any kind of possession, you can see it here. And as soon as someone gets the ball, 6 Lords are fighting for it.
Yeah, and that's not a call I would have made if I was the referee, but it gets called for a foul, giving a free kick and giving a free kick in a good area for George Brown. This is probably a little too far to think about a shot, but great spot to whip a ball in, lift it over the heads of the Lords. It is a shot, and it's wide. And I just thought it was a little too far. It allowed Sutherland a lot of time to prepare and really react. It wouldn't have been a reactionary save. It would have just been based on really the skill level of the goalie and she would have easily made that save. Got across that into the box, in my opinion.
Bailey kicking it around. The Lords keep it in play with the unintentional help there of Pope Jackson. And through ball. Coach calling for forward from the Lords. They try and break their way through the defense, and they do. Briefly, I may add, as George Brown opts to kick it out to stop the offense here and give everyone a chance to reposition.
It's a good ball to right down the line, but just got to do better. There's people in the middle to get the ball to, and just couldn't. So kind of a failure after a great ball to get right through. That's good. But the keeper has been sharp early. Allows none of it.
And George Brown once again on the attack. Or at least trying to break out of their own midfield. And the Lords joust that out. But George Brown possession no less. And that one's through. Sage Thomas Roberts has an opportunity. Dribbles past the defender. Right over them, actually, and that's the first goal of the game. Sage takes out the defender happily. And that one, Alexis Bailey gets the Lords on the stat sheet for the first time in the game, let alone first time in the season.
Yeah, that's a huge goal. They finally break through that George Brown defense, and Durham Lords team scores their first of the season. It's Alexis Bailey from Sage Thomas Roberts.
Excellent play there from the Lords as they proceed to break through. Goose egg no longer on the scoreboard for the green and gold.
And of all the teams in attendance, the Durham women's team, George Brown women's team, and then the men's team on either side, that's the first goal between the four of them this season. So a great achievement for Durham as they get their season kicked off, really. Didn't have a good first game. Second one looks to be much better.
And substitution here for George Brown. And subbing out here for George Brown, number 15. That's going to be Haley Calixtero. And coming in here is going to be Alyssa Badu.
So Badu was meant to start the game, but was late arriving. And
Badu, sorry.
Yeah, Badu was late arriving, so didn't get the start, but comes in now. And that's another good save on a kind of shot crossed. You couldn't really tell. Those can mix up keepers, but not the George Brown shot stopper.
Sarah Anisha Van Wert Bradbury, of course, the keeper for George Brown, drills that one away. And flies overhead.
Looked like a handball.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one to see that. I thought I was for a brief minute.
No, I'm happy it's called because he's on the other side of the player, but good eyes.
Julia Fontana there full-on punches the ball out of the air. But the Lords recover no less. A little bit sketchy as George Brown starts to push into their zone here.
Yeah, just put it out of bounds. Trust your defense on a throw-in.
The Lords, 11 shots, 9 of them on goal. compared to George Brown here. 2 shots, not a single one has been planted on goal yet.
It's a great steal.
And this one, Thomas Roberts has an opportunity. Looking for Alexis Bailey up top. And she's too far off there for that assist.
Yeah, and that one's on Bailey. Got to make either the back post run or cut yourself back and allow a drop off. So didn't really make either run. Kind of hid behind the defender, hoping Sage could make something of the play. And for a player who just scored, usually you're flowing with confidence, making a run, not on this occasion.
Bailey happy to take this one, though.
Lifted out. George Brown defenders, if they've done one good thing, it's see the balls over the top and get it out. But once they've been in possession, that's when the problems have started for them.
Their offense has been very, very sluggish thus far. They need to be able to break it out of their zone, let alone midfield, as that's been their major problem, as the Lords have been outstanding at collapsing as soon as they get anywhere near. You can see George Brown there along the sideline, though, doing that exact same thing as Thomas Roberts tries to fight through the defense there, but covered up instead by Van Wert Bradbury.
And that's having a lot of trust in your keeper. Lopez lifts her leg above the ball, as could have had a clearance, but heard keeper, the shouts, keeper, 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 and knew to just trust your keeper that they're going to get there before the striker. She did.
And a good play there, as now the Lords look to get themselves rolling here. Already have goal number 1 in the game, looking for number 2.
We're just over half an hour into this second game of the season for both of these teams, both looking for their first points of the season.
The Lords already accomplished that. And another corner here from Alexis Bailey has taken now 5 of them for this Lords roster. And Bailey calls it. Short, though. And George Brown easy on the defense there.
Look at Durham just getting there first before the George Brown defenders, and it can go back in.
And keep away here from George Brown is instead fed down to Roberts. Misses it once again. Outstanding save there.
Just another great save. It's incredible.
Van Wert Bradbury has put on an absolute clinic in net. Of course, that one got through. And that has book on Thomas Roberts to keep them out of the net.
Yeah, the goal wasn't her fault, and the only reason why it's not 5-0 is all her. The defenders have not helped her at all, and she's just made save after save. Kept in, and that's good to keep possession. Wouldn't have played that back in, but it's a good ball.
And another one. Thomas Roberts Sage looks to be getting a little bit frustrated there.
I would be. Just so many good attempts. And
has what, 6 shots on their own?
Yeah, and good attempts, but just not being able to beat this great shot stopper.
And the Lords almost look to be falling back into their old calls here as they all fade away instead of playing the ball. And a big boot.
Pass. What a pass. Could go right back in. Someone's got to make a run. Fontana. That looks like a foul.
Sage fights for it, but, there's a difference between fighting and boxing for it. And Sage got a little bit too aggressive on that one.
Yeah, definitely a foul. It's quite clear, but nothing really in it. Just fight for the ball, and they lose it on this occasion.
And what a play there. Alexis Bailey able to close the gap here. Quick move to get through the defender. kicks it across, and the Lords not there on either opportunity to seal that goal.
And Lopez is taking way too long on the ball. Just because you're not being pressed by Sage does not mean you get to hold the ball. Don't take your time. You can't, because that's when Alexis Bailey creeps over to the right back and just allows an easy. You play the ball, and unless it's fizzed, it's going to be stolen every single time, and it has. So there's not really the need to hold on for it just because Sage isn't pressing the ball immediately. You got to get rid of it.
And speaking of the Lords, almost had another opportunity to get back in there towards that goal mark, but this time substitution here for the Lords, as Sage Thomas Roberts is actually going to make their way off the field, and tapping in is going to be Lily Whitbread. And Thomas Roberts, as mentioned, tapping out.
Yeah, and I think they just want a different look. I think Whitbread's going to bring the press, which is what they want. They want to take advantage of the fact that there's been a lot of mistakes at the back for the Huskies.
Well, Sage, a very, very aggressive player, as mentioned, already has a couple fouls, so you have to be playing that as well. Don't want to catch a stray card. So the Lords now playing a little bit safer, but not for long. Heather Wright able to close the distance, but George Brown regains possession and out off of Wright, and it's going to be George Brown chuck this one in.
Yeah, and the way they're pressing, it's sort of one player goes after the ball, and then everyone's staying in their shape until there's one trigger, one missed pass, one player that takes too long, and then you pounce. And it's worked really well against this Huskies defense, who have just been taking way too long on the ball. That's good. Just go quick. Don't allow Durham to
in a boot there,
get in shape.
Alexis Bailey almost had it off the foot and kept in play by George Brown. Unfortunate, though, it goes straight to the Lords.
Yeah, it's a slight mistake by Alexis Bailey. She knows didn't get that one right, but nothing really to worry about if you're a Lords fan. They still look dominant in this OCAA matchup.
And substitution here as Skylar Moore makes, or apologies there. Yeah, Skylar Moore makes their way onto the pitch, and out goes Kaylee Roke.
Yeah, and she's on it immediately. Played out. Too much pressure by the Lords, making the Huskies make bad decisions.
And it's been a consistent theme throughout this match.
We've got just over 7 minutes to go in this first half. Can Durham find a second goal and really lengthen the gap in this one and really bring to life what the stat sheet and what we've been seeing in person
Alexis
is?
Bailey, excellent play, kicks George Brown off the ball.
Plenty of space, could have a shot.
Drills it straight at the keeper.
Yeah, and it's really looked like a Durham 3-4-0 game. So the fact that it's 1-0 in favor of the Lords, George Brown is going to be really fine with that, honestly. They're going to be lucky, and they'll know they're lucky to not be down way more. So they'll just be praying for this halftime whistle. But it's another turnover.
And through balls there, but sadly the Lords miscommunication there.
Another great pass. Another great goal. The Durham Lords make it 2-0. It's Tulock who finishes it. And they double their lead 6 minutes before halftime.
An excellent play there. The Lords able to put finally something through. Dalen Tulock once again. That's going to be her first on the season, of course. 2 goals total for the Lords means a first for both Alexis Bailey and Dalen Tulock.
Yeah, and that was really important. I was just talking about how they'd be hoping for the halftime whistle of the Huskies. Well, they don't get it in time, and Durham comes again with Bailey.
And Bailey, excellent little move there to sneak through and drills a Husky, I believe, in the back of the head there. But doesn't look to be seeing any stars. As Bailey, good coverage on it, but the Huskies able to get away with it.
That's great passing, but just a little off.
As the Lord's almost able to break back out again.
Yeah, it leads to a Huskies throw in.
And Bailey fights for it and boots it out towards George Brown. And able to recover. Of time. Man just throws that one over, figures, you know what? You guys can figure this one out, and it goes right back to her. And chasing around to the Lords, trying to pick a side to give them an open look. And the goal scorer there almost had to steal it to boot.
Much better from George Brown, but they couldn't find an option.
And they finally get this one away, but George Brown just can't seem to keep possession in the offensive zone here.
They've got to get it to the striker eventually. If you want to break this press, it's got to go to the feet. Of Boodoo. And just playing back, it's not going to work. The Durham formation has been extremely tight tonight, or today, and it's just not being broken up by George Brown because they keep trying to play it out wide and through the middle.
George Brown just kicking it around here, trying to find a gap in this Lord's press, but...
And someone's got to be brave enough just to play it directly to 27 right here. It's got to go right to her feet, but instead they go down the line.
And coming across here, George Brown has an opportunity on the attack.
And look, they get it to the striker, and it's half chance, probably more like a 1/10 chance, as the Durham Lords defender was right there. But it's something that George Brown hasn't had all game, all half.
Looks like a substitution to come soon for George Brown. Of course, depending on when the next whistle is. And corner easily received there from the Lords.
And nobody's in the box for George Brown. I don't really know what the plan was. That's in a good area, but someone's got to be there.
Well, the entire George Brown roster, it seemed, tried to play at the top of the box, just weren't able to, well, play off of it. And Heather Wright kicks that one, or sorry, not Heather Wright, apologies. That one there was Aaron Mikulik, the captain. And that one goes out of play as a substitution here for George Brown. Out goes number 10. That one's going to be Jennifer Sagan. And coming in is going to be Haley Calixtero. And the Lord's back at it again.
You'd like to see a little sign of life here from George Brown. A good steal here. This could be the opportunity.
4 Lords caught downfield here, but George Brown, sadly, it looks like they've also been caught in their own field here, as none of them really quick on this counterattack. But they're trying their absolute hardest here as that ball goes out of play.
They receive a throw in Durham's end. If you could bounce a couple balls, get it inside the box, you'd really hope to get at least a chance before halftime. Show a little life going into the break.
Minute and a half left before any stoppage time comes into play. Of course, official to decide that one.
I don't think we'll see much. There hasn't been a lot in the game. Not many injuries or anything, so we might see a couple of minutes. You're not gonna see anything like 4 or 5.
And fires that one. But, you know, we're going to play a little bit of keep away as that one goes right out.
Yeah, nearing the 44th minute, or the 45th minute, excuse me, as The Lords lead 2-0 over George Brown.
And Lords opting to play this one a little slow. They don't need the goal as bad at the moment. Of course, that 2-0 lead enough to keep them secure for the time being, assuming all doesn't go terribly, terribly wrong. And the Lords just keep this one in George Brown territory, trying to give themselves an opportunity, and this looks to be a little bit of a break here as Tulak fires wide of the net, though. And away they go once again. And into stoppage time we go in just a brief second.
The shot's 11-0 on the board for the Lords. Can George Brown muster something up?
And the Lords possession. Alexis Bailey. Bailey, through ball. Still goes. Tulak fighting for it. Tulak.
Side netting.
Wide.
So close. A great shoulder off the ball at the top of the box just to create some open space. But hit side netting. Couldn't find the back of the goal.
Just an unfortunate moment there. Almost had her second goal of the game. And, of course, halftime approaching. I assume not too much left here.
Yep, and that's halftime between the Durham Lords and the George Brown Huskies. The Lords lead 2-0 off of Alexis Bailey goal.
And Dalen Tulak there. Excellent play here from both sides. Of course, George Brown need to get themselves into this offense in any kind of way here. But we'll see how that shapes out. Of course, coach is going to make some adjustments here to figure it out. And we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
We've come a long way since our doors first opened. Though our beginnings were modest, our vision was bold. With each passing decade, we grew. Times changed, and we adapted. We evolved, and we delivered. Market-driven programs that get our grads jobs. Seamless support services that wrap around our students. Sustainable practices that protect our earth. For the past 10 years, our mission ensured that the student experience came first at Durham College. But we've reached a tipping point. As we reflect on all we've accomplished and look closely at where we stand, it's clear. We're not just putting the student experience first, we're reinventing it. What's happening on our campuses, across our communities, and around the globe is a DC-grown and led transformation of the way we learn, the way we teach, the way we work, live, and lead. The many paths to post-secondary education merge and weave in so many new ways, and our approach to delivering that education, advanced learning that innovates, inspires, and changes lives, is just as varied. We are shaping this transformation shoulder to shoulder, heads down while working hard, but always with clear eyes on the future. This is our stake in the ground. We are DC, and together, we are leading the way. We've come a long way since our doors first opened. Though our beginnings were modest, our vision was bold. With each passing decade, we grew. Times changed, and we adapted. We evolved, and we delivered. Market-driven programs that get our grads jobs. Seamless support services that wrap around our students. Sustainable practices that protect our earth. For the past 10 years, our mission ensured that the student experience came first at Durham College. But we've reached a tipping point. As we reflect on all we've accomplished and look closely at where we stand,
And welcome back, everyone, to the OCAA. Of course, women's soccer here on the field. We have the home Durham Lords with the lead at the moment. 2-0 the score in this one. Visiting George Brown, of course, still looking for their first goal on the season. Doing their best here to get on the board. We'll see how they do.
George Brown will kick it off, and we are underway in the second half of this OCAA matchup between these two great teams. George Brown struggled. Let's see if they can make something happen. Out of town, I've just been informed that the Centennial Colts are beating Fleming 10-0 at half. So quite the score line there. We'll keep checking up on that to see any new developments.
I'm sorry, did you just say 10-0 at half?
Yeah, it's quite the score line.
Goodness gracious.
And the Colts, as we know, are a very strong team. So it's not surprising they can do damage in a lot of it. Sage back on the field and makes a good move. Poked around the defender. A lot of space for the Lords. But eventually cleared away by George Brown. Shots are 18-2 in favor of the Lords after the halftime.
Let alone shots on goal. 12-0.
Yeah, so it's been outstanding. And you have to give, and another shot just goes wide of the goal. Sage thought they made it 3-0 in the early moments of the second half. And you have to give a lot of credit to the George Brown shot stopper, keeping it away from a 6-0 game at half.
Bare minimum.
There was like 5 or 6 saves that she made that you don't really expect a goalie to make. It's kind of, you just applaud and you're glad that your keeper has the ability to make that save.
Well, there were certainly lots and lots of applause you heard down from the George Brown crowd that came out. Showed out in pretty substantial numbers here, so happy to see some people make the travel all the way from downtown. And the Lords now struggling to break out of their own end as George Brown gets the pressure up on them. And off the Lords it goes. They finally break free. And kicks it
Great
way
ball.
far. Sage had an opportunity, drilled away instead. As George Brown going to get control off of that one. A little bit of an errant stop there from the Lords. And it's going to skip all the way out of play. And it's going to go to the keeper.
So a couple minutes into this second half, it looks like George Brown has settled in slightly. We'll see any further developments as this is down the line, touched around, taken down, and the call is made. A free kick in an okay spot for the Lords. It's
You gotta wonder if they're gonna turn this into a shot.
Yeah, it looks like a weird version of a corner, honestly. Honestly, it's way too far out to have a shot, and it's a good spot where you can whip this ball in right into that middle of that blue circle in the 18-yard box. Let's see if they can deliver, and it's great. It's a good save.
Practically a layup to the keeper. An unfortunate turn there for the Lords, but another shot on goal is another shot on goal.
And I think hindsight, you could take a touch there. There was so much time as George Brown had not set up correctly, but just thought about getting it on target, did, but not well enough as it's free.
Speaking of on target here, George Brown pushing the attack, slips through, and buried away.
Yeah, has to do better. A lot of space. That ball's just...
Upton picked this one up this time. That was 0-0 for the Lords, Katie Sutherland. Kicking that one around now. George Brown trying to get any kind of advantage here on Alexis Bailey. Of course, scored one already and put on a little bit of a defensive show there. And the Lord's going to be the ones to chuck this one in. And deep pass there to what looked like absolutely no one, but comes back around was Tulloch.
Bad giveaway.
And the Lord's going to be quick to fix their mistakes. I lie through my teeth as George Brown fights for this one. The Lords managed to slip away there scot-free. The Lords starting to get a little sloppy here. You have to worry if this is going to come back to bite them. And it's through as George Brown has an opportunity. Fighting for it.
Eventually knocked off of the Lord's winger, and that's a good play. For George Brown, they can settle in to this half. They haven't really given up a ton compared to that first half where they gave up about 5 chances in
about 3 minutes.
Yeah. Ooh, a little bit of a collision.
Both players get up a little slow from that one.
And you just hope everyone's okay. George Brown wingers switch sides. I wonder what that's about, just an adjustment from the coach.
Tulloch.
Great pass.
Through ball here. Alexis finds Sage.
Oh, another great save.
Buries it.
Rebound is put home, and the Lord's lead is 3-0. It's a great pass by Tulloch right down that line for Alexis Bailey, who feeds it right into the box. A wide open Sage, who buries it on the second try. Another great stop by the keeper, but nothing she can do about that second attempt from Sage, Thomas Roberts.
Of course, already had an assist early on in the game. So Sage now has a goal to boot. Tulloch, the 3 goal scorers here, bouncing around. Fires it
What a
long
ball.
ways. Looking for Sage across the box. Why not another?
Oh my, just couldn't find the goal in the first half, and now has 2 in about a minute. And the Lord's lead is 4 and doubled.
In under a minute from each other. Sage has officially broken the scoring cap here and has blown this game wide open.
And like we mentioned, 19 goals 2 seasons ago, trying to find that form again. Had a great year last year, but it was nothing compared to the year before that. So trying to just, as I said, find that form again.
And back to it.
Looks like they have their shooting boots on in this one.
And the Lords, you can see, very, very confident now, have a big lead, and drills that one. Kicking it around now. Has an opportunity to slow this game down a half second.
Another one, maybe.
Look out to Roberts. Hat trick in just about as much time. Goodness gracious, Sage Thomas Roberts has ripped this game a new one.
That is a 2-minute and 58-second hat trick for Sage Thomas Roberts. Just incredible.
Wow. What an absolute masterclass there in striking. Puts up 3 goals in under 3 minutes, which is outrageous.
You don't see something like that often, but we've seen it today.
We were talking about that record-breaking season there with the 19 goals. Sage maybe looking to one up themselves here.
And this game is, in a matter of an instant, got out of hand, and the Lords lead 5-0.
This was looking good for George Brown for a bit, I won't lie.
Yeah, when it was 0-0 for a long time, you thought they're going to grow into this game, and Durham's going to miss all those mistakes they made. But Durham scored, and then Durham scored right before halftime, and now Sage just opened up the floodgates. The shots are 23-2, 16 shots on target for the Lords to George Brown 0. And,
of course, George Brown has played a much cleaner game, though. The Lords, 5 fouls.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to foul 5 times to find 5 goals, you're going to do it every time.
Almost tried the stutter step there. Not quite going to do so. And the Lord's going to look to recover here.
Yeah, this is one of the more impressive halves I've seen from a player, and it's Sage Thomas Roberts.
Let's go 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. There's still about half an hour or a little bit more to go in this half.
And corner. Drilled high. Roberts almost had a 4th.
We don't have the exact numbers, but if I had to guess, Sage probably has like 11 shots on target in this one. It's been a clinic, and another chance maybe here.
Lords taking a half step here, and that's going to be George Brown able to recover. Kicking this one around now. Looking for the next opportunity. Instead, fires it right out of play. Forget that. And substitution here. The Lords. Out goes Dalen Tulloch. And in goes number 26. That's going to be Kelly Rote. Dalen Tulloch, we were talking about her earlier. Goal scorer here. Got to be looking then for Kaylee Roke to find just about the same amount of value here. Bouncing their way around. And pushing up the side was Telemet. Offloads down at the top of the box. And the Lords not quite able to finish off the play. As George Brown quick on the attack now. Fought for it. And thrown around. No foul called, though. Lucky to walk away from that one without another.
Great ball, but just a little heavy. Allows the keeper to get onto it.
Bailey was almost looking at her second goal there. And what a boot from the keeper. And a little bit of keep away here. Keeps them in possession. Not for long. And trainer called there. Looked like her right foot, I believe. I lied. A little bit of stoppage there.
Yeah, and back down. Looks like tried to walk it off. Couldn't walk it off. And the trainer will have to come. I can't see who that is. I believe
believe that
It's
was
Megan Barrett, but I can't be certain. Of course, we don't want to make any assumptions about the injury. We hope she's all right and she can continue in this one.
Once again, we state we are not doctors.
But based on what the trainer's doing, it looks like it's just a cramp.
Got a little bit unlucky on the contact there by the looks of it, though. Nothing crazy.
So there's a sub coming for the Lords. You're going to see Laura Antoinette check in a like-for-like sub for the Lords. So we wait for Barrett to get off the field. Walking, but a little bit gingerly.
And, of course, after getting off that field there a little gingerly there, Megan Barrett, in goes number 4 for George Brown. That's going to be Jennifer Lopez. And kicking it around now, George Brown has an opportunity low, but going to get boxed out here by the Lord's defenders.
And with half an hour to go in this 5-0 game, you just want to see what George Brown has as a team. If they can bring this game to life a little bit. They haven't had a shot on target, so you just have to see them try and grow into this as much as they can.
And breaking free there. Away it goes to Estelle Calumet. Finds Bailey down low. Has a cross off target. Just hit the side netting there. Didn't have the angle to sneak through. And once again, booting this one away. Keeps it low, though. George Brown retained possession for the time being. And a quick joust by the Lords. That one flies out of play.
Played through the lines. That's good hold up. And it's George Brown in possession. A little bit of fight by Roque, and it's out for... No, it stays in, actually, and the Lords have it. But the ball through for Bailey is just played back, and it looks like they've kind of made a little formation change, the Lords have. Looking more like a 4-4-2 instead of the 4-3-3 that they were playing. With when they get the ball, Bailey going into that striker position with Sage, but when out of possession, it kind of goes back to that 4-3-3 with her dropping in as an attacking midfielder.
Well, you don't mind that changing on the fly here if you're the Lords. And another one down.
The shot, and it's a good save.
That's a Husky down on the field. Does not look to be particularly comfortable.
Oh, and the trainer comes back out.
Megan Morgado down.
And there's another George Brown Husky down on the far side of the field as well.
So she's just stretching, though.
Yeah, I think she was down. I think she was hoping the trainer would come over and realize matters to attend to.
And hops back up on the far side, though.
Yeah, it was
That one there was
Kayla Ferreira, so she looks to be okay while the trainer attends to one of her teammates, who we hope is okay as well. There is a sub ready, which we would assume is going to come in for the injured player. But we'll wait to see for sure.
Apologies there.
Player's still down, being attended to. So we just wait for this game to resume. We hope she's okay as she's being helped off the field. And looks in a little bit of pain as well.
And they slowly work her off the field here, but off the field no less. Walking, so better than nothing here. Of course, wish her a speedy recovery. Megan Morgado.
Yeah, looks in a lot of pain. We hope that's just pain and not a injury. So
Will be sorted out regardless. And
this game looks like it will resume, shortly.
Megan Morgado again checking out. And replacing her, another Megan, this time Megan Barrett.
Yeah, so Megan Barrett just came out with the cramp, but looks to be all ready to go, running onto that field, not looking like in any pain at all.
And that one out of play there as Durham, I believe, is going to get possession here. Good Lord, you have to be looking here to take advantage of this momentum you clearly have going. And sadly, the furthest player across there was the one to receive the ball, Skylar Moore, and just wasn't able to keep it in check. And booted all the way back to the keeper.
You don't hate this. Just keep possession. You just had a little break, so just want to let your team settle into the game, especially because you're leading 5-0. No need to push for a goal. It's a bad turnover by Fontana. But battled back for him, won by the Lord. Scott May makes a good play. As Durham gets another corner kick. What number corner kick is that? Do we know?
I believe that to be number 7. 7's correct.
Yeah, it's a lot of corner kicks, and they've nearly all gone to Durham. So George Brown just has one. As this is crossed in and behind. It's been a couple of times that's happened from Alexis Bailey. Just hasn't been her best night for corner kicks. Luckily, the Warriors still lead by 5 goals to now.
And the Lord's back to it here instead. George Brown gets away with it from the keeper. Kicking around here, but able to regain possession of the Huskies. Those blue jerseys flying just about everywhere here. And inbounding for the Huskies is going to be Kaylee Ferreira.
So with the 24-2 shot lead that the Lords have, it's pretty close to the Seneca shot lead, which was 19-2 last game against the George Brown Huskies. But the corner kicks were 9-0 in favor of Seneca, so it's just a second straight game of George Brown really being dominated in their end of the field, as there's a foul and a free kick in a pretty good spot.
Ferreira, the one getting called there. Quick to help her up. Clearly unintentional, no malice intended. As the Lord's going to get on this one. Look to make the best out of an opportunity here down deep in the attacking zone. And just an update here on the score. On the score here for Fleming and Centennial. Just about the 62nd minute as Centennial leads this 14-0 at home.
Yeah, it's a blowout. It's official.
And it wasn't from 10-0 at half?
You know, great comebacks, great teams. The Lords lead 5-0 as well. I don't know if you'd categorize it in the same kind of blowout, but nonetheless, it's been dominant from Durham, and they'll be plenty pleased with this performance.
And kicking around here still. Durham deep in the attacking zone once again. Going to bring it out just a little bit, trying to reset. And back down into George Brown territory, and the Huskies coming away with it. And kicking around. Breaking back across here, carrying it this time is Bianca Granada, who fires it, but intercepted by the Lords. Luckily, I thought they were going to clear it off of that, but they will in, I believe, just a moment. There it goes.
Just out of bounds on the kick. So this is about in the game. Last game against Seneca, where George Brown really lost their focus and conceded twice, resulting in that 3-0 defeat. So we'll see if they can keep their focus on this occasion and not drop more goals.
Substitutions for the Lords here as Sage Thomas Roberts as well as Holly Warlow check out, and in goes Lily Whitbread as well as number 2 for the Lords, Brianna Watt.
And I think that's a telltale sign that the Lords think they have this game under control, because you don't take a player like Warlow out unless you truly believe you've got this game under a lot of control. It's a great player, not someone you'd see out if this game is 0-0, I think.
Absolutely not here. And receiving this one, a player who's been in practically the entire time, Estelle Calmet. Gonna fire the...
That's a good move.
Kick this one around. Opportunities. Knocking for the Lords, but not gonna be able to finish it off.
It's a great defensive play by Alexis Bailey, who gets into the starfish formation, as fouled on the ground. Long run to make that defensive action. Maybe a little bit of tired legs after a run like that. Gave herself a 5-second break laying on the ground. 72nd minute now. This game wraps up. We have 17 minutes to go. The Lords lead 5-0, and George Brown still without a shot on target in this one.
Kicking it around now, the Lords once again. And Watt sends that one away. Unfortunate, falls right into the hands of the Huskies. As they make their way around here, bringing it back up top towards midfield, slowing it down. You have to imagine if you're the Huskies, if you're looking towards next week. See if you can try and fix this offensive game here.
And apologies there for the little bit of a mess here on our end. I understand we sounded maybe just a little staticky, but everything should be up in order now. And back in business we go here as the Lords push forward once again. Cleared it here this time. Goes all the way out to the George Brown keeper. As the Lords try and keep the pressure on here, trying to pounce on a loose ball opportunity. And back once again to Van Wert Bradbury, who fires it a mile, and out of play it goes. Lords with possession, 15 minutes left until stoppage time. Of course, few minutes now. The Lords with possession here.
And the Lords not letting up. They're not pushing for a goal as much, but they're also not sitting back and letting George Brown have any say in this one.
Speaking of pushing for a goal, here we go, and that one intercepted by George Brown.
Knocked out for a throw-in.
Good play there. Megan Barrett, of course, came in off a substitution. Did an excellent job putting her body on the line there to get in the way of that shot. Make sure that clear attempt wasn't even possible.
Yeah, and obviously Durham will have chances if they keep the ball, but I don't think they are pushing for that goal as they were pressing as much. They win the ball here, though, and it pops out for a goal kick. George Brown get to relieve some of the pressure that they were feeling as there's a substitute coming for the Lords. So it's a small delay. As the substitute comes on, the goal kick will resume now.
Coming back in there was Heather Wright. Was a mainstay in the first half here. Looking to get right back to it. George Brown through ball. Sadly, it goes through to the Lords instead. Are able to break out of their own zone now without too much struggle on the line. And keeping it in play. Sadly, George Brown disagrees as they boot that one. And the Lords to inbound here, number 4. That one's going to be Shelby Kahn.
Could be good ball. And it is a good throw.
Back to Kahn. Kahn breaks through the defense here.
Working hard, winning a corner kick. That's well worked. Just getting down the line, getting into the dirty areas and making good plays. And she'll be the one to take the corner kick as no Alexis Bailey to do so. Bailey had some not so great corner kicks. Let's see if Kahn can make a statement here. That's a great corner kick onto the head and bounced around right in front of the goal. Doesn't go in. And
just about
cleared.
to add that one.
Reached a couple of heads before being cleared away by George Brown. So close to a 6-0 lead were the Lords.
And bouncing around here, Lords regain control. Possession still with them. And fighting for it over there. Goodness gracious. Scrappy there, but good plays. Wasn't quite able to find the passing lane. Good thing the Lords happy to keep the pressure on. I'm sure Coach ecstatic with that one.
Kept in.
And fires the crosser. Returned by George Brown. Sadly, the Lords get back to it. And deepest player there for the Lords. Instead, is going to step up. Was Heather Wright, who isn't quite able to get through there. And out of play it goes.
That's a goal kick. into the last 10 minutes before stoppage time. So
You got to imagine a few minutes will get tacked on there for those couple we had.
Potentially, or you might see the ref blow it at 5-0. Some refs like the added time no matter what the score is, and some refs don't want the game to drag on, as it is
a little bit of a wide open game.
Yeah, so it'll depend based on the referee. You'll either have no added time or you'll have
all of it.
All of it. We're not gonna see like 2 minutes here, as that's nearly stolen and broke
maybe
free.
Had a little bit more control on that instead of a straight block. You might have maybe had a Lord's counterattack.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll either see 5 or 6, as that's a good tackle by Aaron, the captain, or we'll see 0.
I don't know about that one being all ball, but the Lords possession no less here off an errant pass.
And that's just not a good ball. Right behind.
Well, if there's one way to bury George Brown in their own zone there,
just put it in the corner. You'd rather a good pass to your winger, but
if you had to have an option B, that's pretty much it.
Pushing forward still are the Lords, but it's turned over on another not-so-great pass. Has an open player and just can't use him.
Luckily, the Lords have possession anyway.
And I think at this point in the game, you're not really expecting a comeback from George Brown, so you have to find good moments if you're the Huskies. And for the Lords, you have to not get in the habit of bad moments. You can't have giveaways still. You have to still work towards making good decisions. And at points in this late second half, they haven't made good decisions, and you know Bruce Cohen is going to be all over that in the meetings, because in these type of games, it's when you build the foundation for the closer ones, making good habits, making good decisions. And at times the attention is dropped because they know this game is basically done and dusted, 1-0-1, and they can move on.
Lucky to keep possession there was George Brown. Almost got away from the keeper, but away they go once again. But for how long? As another errant pass means the Lords have yet even more possession time.
Yeah, and the other way, I was talking about the mistakes for the Lords. If you're the Huskies coach, you want to see better plays being made, even if the scoreline is like this is crossed in.
Cross ball.
Good chance. Snuffed out, but still alive for the Lords.
Drills it.
What a goal.
Goodness gracious. You know, we'll tack on another one for the Lords here. Of course, didn't have much left in that one, but what a shot there. It was practically parallel with the net.
Yeah, that was Antoinesse who gives the Lords their 6th goal of this game and her first of the season.
Laura Antoinesse, outstanding play there. Gets it off of the poor defensive look there from George Brown. Has the steal and just able to finish the play.
Yeah, and it's another mistake, which we keep talking about. It's mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's led to the 6-0 scoreline for George Brown. They trail heavy in their second game of the season.
And a big boot there. Not quite able to be returned by Mikalika. And instead, the Lords fighting for it, even as it gets deep into their zone here, which is something you'd love to see for the Lords. But
yeah, it's been relentless defensively, just not letting George Brown get anywhere near their goal.
If you're looking at the two play styles for this team, you can see George Brown leaning more into that heavy defensive focus, kind of camping back, waiting for the Lords to come get them, compared to when you look at this Lords offense. Even as you look at the camera here and what you see all the Lords all over George Brown's side of the field.
Yeah, that throw-in is 25 yards from the half, and every single Lord's non-defender is inside the half. Even, I think, out of the 10 position players, as this ball is played
Another
through.
opportunity. Drills it. Number 22, Lily Whitbread. Substitution there out for Sage Thomas Roberts. Puts on another one, just adding it on.
Yeah, and that's a great pass right through the lines of the two defenders, and they're making great plays, and it's leading to a blowout here at Vassos Field.
The Lords have put on an absolute showcase here. Happy to continue proving why they've got what it takes here as the Lords keep pouring on 7 goals to their name.
Yeah, and it was 2-0 at half. To score 5 goals in one half against George Brown, it's a great achievement.
And through ball here from the Lords. You know, you put on another 2 in the last 2 minutes, essentially. So for the Lords, anything else at this point is more than bonus.
Crossed in.
And
Still
fighting for it.
Eventually.
And George Brown drills it away.
Yeah, eventually cleared away.
And keeping it alive, I lied. That one is George Brown's possession on the throw-in. The goal from Whitbread had an assist. Aaron Mikulika had a very, very good through ball, like you mentioned, Damon.
Yeah, it was a great pass and well worth the assist that will be tallied next to her name. The Lords lead 7-0 as we wind down, nearing the 90-minute mark. And still working hard. That stays in. They can push forward.
And speaking of pushing forward, Lords do a great job here of forcing George Brown once again deep into their own zone. Keep in mind, in just a little bit, we are going to have the George Brown versus Durham men's soccer teams make their way out.
Yeah, both teams fell in their openers. George Brown in dramatic fashion, and Durham Lords 2 early goals and then a red card really bringing the sting out of the game. So that should be interesting as both teams look for their first win of the season.
Score there, of course, Seneca took that one away from George Brown in stoppage time there and just at the end. You're almost looking at going just a little further there, but not quite able to get there. George Brown, though, on the attack here, coming back to this one, and instead just kicked away here by the Lords as they opt to slow it down. If we pan the camera back here, we can see George Brown. All of their players are still deep in the field.
Yeah, it almost seems like they'd rather just not concede than score a first goal. They don't want
Well, this is what we've been seeing all day.
Yeah, but at this point in the game, a lot of teams will push forward. They'll try and get a goal. They'll try and make the scoreline a little less embarrassing, and George Brown just don't look like they have it in them tonight.
George Brown still yet to score a goal on the season after this one. Keep in mind, we're only 2 games in. Lots and lots of time to go. Of course, a 10-game season.
Yeah, you have time to turn your season around, but it's got to start soon. It's really got to start next game. You can't have another scoreline like this.
Absolutely. And panning back towards the last week, of course, here at Vassos, once again, we had Durham taking on Algonquin. And like you said, of course, 2 quick goals there. One was practically shot right from the 22 and had a line through to the keeper entirely untouched. I know, I was sitting behind the net and just wasn't able to do anything about it as the Lords almost looked lost in those opening few minutes and really, really cut down on any kind of problem later on. Yeah, that red card basically sealed the deal with a 3-0 scoreline for Algonquin.
Yeah, and I think they should fare better tonight. They got a little unlucky. The defense wasn't great on set pieces. If they can clean that up, they didn't really give up much outside of the set pieces. But we'll have to see in probably around half an hour, maybe 35 minutes.
And the Lords regain control. Kicks this one away. Falls with the Huskies here as they get their way on the counterattack. You got to wonder if they ever start to push up. This group of 6 that George Brown has kept in the back, no matter what, doesn't matter the situation, doesn't matter how they're pushing. George Brown looked to be a very, very defensive team on the season, and you got to wonder if you're the other teams, how are you going to take advantage of it like the Lords did today?
And right in front, and it's another great play. And the 7-0 scoreline will really overshadow how good of a goaltending performance this was by the George Brown shot stopper.
Sarah Anisha Van Wert Bradbury.
Yeah, you just can't evaluate a goalie based off the goals against us. I would say for George Brown in a 7-0 game, their goalie was their best player.
Absolutely. You can't make an argument really against it. They didn't have much in terms of offensive possession. Of course, the midfielders were doing a pretty good job of trying to keep themselves in this thing, fighting for every inch. The Lords just had a little bit more get up and go to them.
As we're into stoppage time in this one, and you wonder how much the referee will give. There was an injury around the 7-minute mark, and it doesn't look like he will give any. The Durham Lords beat George Brown 7-0 and get their first win of the OCAA season.
Welcome to the win column, Lords, as they move on to 1-1 here. George Brown fall to 0-2, looking to make their way back into this as both teams look to get back to it here. The Lords going to be taking on St. Lawrence Saturday the 13th over in Kingston. And all the way for George Brown, you're going to be looking at a little bit of a hike here going all the way back down to Toronto as they'll take on Loyalist on the 14th. For myself, Etienne Skitch, and beside me, Damon Huser, thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we'll be back in just about 30 minutes' time with the men's match. The home Durham Lords taking on the visiting George Brown Huskies.